Frozen French fries are one of the most common freezer staples in the world. That golden brown color is not just cosmetic. It signals a specific chemical reaction. Frozen fries are par-fried once at the factory, then frozen for later home cooking. This is Grocery Science. Today, we look at what is really inside frozen French fries. Sodium content can vary significantly between brands, even for similarly seasoned frozen fries. Cooking method changes more about frozen fries than most people realize. By the end of this video, you will read that fry bag very differently. Frozen fries can fit an occasional meal. Understanding the science helps you cook them smarter. When starchy foods are fried or baked at high heat, a natural chemical reaction occurs. This reaction, involving natural sugars and an amino acid, produces a compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide was first identified in food by Swedish researchers in 2002. A World Health Organization research agency places acrylamide in its Group 2A risk category. This classification is based primarily on animal studies conducted at much higher doses than typical diets. Acrylamide forms in many browned foods, including bread crusts, roasted coffee, and baked cookies. Acrylamide formation begins around 120 degrees Celsius and rises sharply above 175 degrees. Longer frying time at a given temperature generally produces higher acrylamide concentrations. A lightly golden fry generally contains meaningfully less acrylamide than a darkly browned one. The FDA specifically recommends cooking fries to a golden yellow rather than a dark brown color. Checking color visually during cooking is a simple, practical way to manage this factor. Acrylamide is fundamentally a cooking byproduct that scales with both heat level and time. Researchers have specifically tested whether oil type affects acrylamide formation in fries. One study found oils with higher heat transfer coefficients produced higher acrylamide levels. That study found acrylamide levels shifting by roughly 30% depending on oil type used. Interestingly, that same study found reusing frying oil repeatedly did not significantly raise acrylamide. Home cooking method, oven baking versus deep frying, also plays a meaningful role. Research directly comparing air frying to deep frying has produced somewhat mixed results. Air frying reliably reduces total oil uptake, regardless of its specific effect on acrylamide. Soaking raw potato strips in water before cooking can measurably reduce acrylamide formation. FDA guidance suggests soaking cut potatoes in water for 15 to 30 minutes before cooking. Soaking removes some surface sugar, one of the key components driving the acrylamide reaction. Frozen fry packaging includes specific time and temperature guidance, developed partly with this in mind. Cooking well past the suggested time increases both acrylamide and simple burnt flavor. Following package time and temperature guidance closely supports a more predictable, controlled result. Acrylamide reduction is one useful factor to weigh alongside sodium and fat content. Moderate cooking temperature and appropriate cooking time remain the most directly controllable levers. Many frozen fries are lightly salted before freezing, in addition to salt added at home. Seasoned or flavored frozen fries generally carry significantly more sodium than plain varieties. A typical serving can represent a meaningful share of a full day's recommended sodium. Health guidelines recommend adults limit sodium to about 2,300 milligrams daily. Daily sodium limit about 2,300 milligrams. A typical 100-gram serving can cover around 10% of that daily recommended limit. Oven-baked frozen fries generally contain meaningfully less total fat than deep-fried versions. Deep frying causes potato strips to absorb noticeably more oil than oven baking does. The same frozen fries can differ by 100 calories or more, depending on cooking method. Checking the package's recommended cooking method previews the likely fat and calorie outcome. Potatoes themselves naturally provide potassium, vitamin C, and a modest amount of fiber. Fries made with the skin left on generally retain more fiber than skinless versions. Comparing skin-on and skinless options directly reveals a modest but real fiber difference. Pairing fries with a protein source and vegetables creates a more balanced overall meal. Adding less table salt afterward helps offset sodium already included in seasoned frozen fries. Sodium content and cooking method remain the two factors most worth checking directly. Large cohort studies have specifically examined the relationship between fry consumption and health outcomes. One study found eating fries 4 or more times weekly linked to 17% higher hypertension risk. This finding reflects a statistical association, not direct proof that fries alone caused the outcome. A separate cohort study examined fry consumption and type 2 diabetes risk, specifically in women. Women in the highest fry consumption group showed 21% higher diabetes risk. Both frequency and portion size likely matter in interpreting these specific cohort study findings. These findings generally reflect frequent, large portion consumption patterns rather than occasional servings. Fast food fries typically contain more sodium and fat than home-cooked frozen fries. Preparation setting, not just the food itself, likely shapes some of these observed health associations. Dietitians generally recommend fries as an occasional side rather than a frequent daily staple. Choosing a smaller portion size directly addresses the volume factor highlighted in this research. Comparing a small and large labeled serving reveals how quickly fry calories can add up. Comparing frozen fry brands directly often reveals meaningful sodium and fat differences. Comparing several brands side by side often reveals surprisingly large sodium differences. Understanding these patterns lets you choose and cook frozen fries intentionally, not just by habit. Cut-style descriptions like crinkle or steak cut relate to shape, not nutritional content. Terms like lightly seasoned carry no fixed regulatory sodium threshold behind them. A natural label claim does not guarantee the absence of added starch coatings. Serving size print is often smaller than the flavor description printed above it. Flipping the bag over remains the most reliable way to verify any front label claim. Some fries include a starch-based coating designed to increase crispiness, which can raise oil absorption. Checking sodium and fat directly matters more than trusting a cut-style name alone. Comparing several brands side by side often reveals surprisingly large fat content differences. Some products labeled all-natural still contain dextrose and added starch coatings. Marketing language strongly shapes how healthy a fry package appears, independent of actual nutrition. Soak fresh-cut potatoes first, cook to golden rather than dark, and check sodium content. Choosing plain over heavily seasoned varieties meaningfully reduces sodium without sacrificing much flavor. Using an oven or air fryer instead of deep frying reduces total fat and calories. Pairing fries with a protein source and vegetables creates a more balanced overall meal. Following the package's suggested cooking time helps avoid unnecessary overcooking and darker color. Frozen fries remain generally less expensive per serving than restaurant or delivery fries. A few extra seconds reading the label can meaningfully change what ends up on the plate. Knowledge about ingredients is not about fear. It is about informed, confident choices. We started this video with a simple tray of golden fries. Behind every bag of frozen fries is a process shaped by heat, oil, and timing. The evidence shows cooking temperature and sodium content are the two details most worth managing. That understanding gives you a real choice, rather than just a convenient one. At Grocery Science, we examine food through evidence, not to generate fear. Coming up, what is really inside crackers, fruit snacks, and coffee creamer? Thank you for watching Grocery Science. Stay curious, stay informed.